Alice Weidel's second chance. It was a crisp autumn afternoon in Berlin, and Alice Weidel walked briskly down a quiet street, her mind preoccupied with the events of the day. Meetings, interviews, debates. Her life as a politician often felt like a whirlwind. Today, however, she had a rare moment to herself, and she decided to take a detour through a park she hadn't visited in years. As she walked past a row of benches, she noticed a man sitting alone, hunched over, clutching a thin blanket around his shoulders. His clothes were tattered, his face weary, and beside him sat a small, scruffy dog that seemed just as down on its luck as he was. Alice had seen homelessness before, but something about this man made her pause. She hesitated for a moment before approaching him. "Excuse me," she said, her voice softer than usual. The man looked up, his tired eyes meeting hers. "Are you all right?" He gave a small, wary smile. "Been better," he replied. His voice was hoarse, as though he hadn't spoken much lately. Alice glanced at the dog, who looked up at her with hopeful eyes, its tail wagging slightly. She knelt down and extended her hand. The dog sniffed it before giving a small lick. "What's his name?" she asked. "Charlie," the man said. "Best friend I've got." Alice sat down beside him, ignoring the odd looks she got from passers-by. "I'm Alice," she offered. "And you are?" "Jonas," he replied. "Not that it matters much these days." "It does," she said firmly. "Everyone matters." Jonas let out a dry chuckle. "Tell that to the people who walk by every day and pretend I don't exist." Alice frowned, feeling an unexpected pang of guilt. She had spent years in politics, debating policies about homelessness, discussing numbers and statistics. But sitting here, next to a man who had lost everything, she realized how little those numbers truly meant. "How did you end up here?" she asked, her voice gentle. Jonas hesitated before sighing. "Lost my job a few years back. Worked in construction. Then my wife left. Took the kids. Depression hit hard. One bad thing after another, and here I am." Alice nodded, listening intently. She had read stories like his, but hearing it firsthand made it feel real in a way that reports never could. "Have you tried the shelters?" she asked. Jonas shook his head. "Most are full, and the ones that aren't, well, they don't allow dogs. I won't leave Charlie behind." Alice looked at the small dog, curled up protectively beside Jonas. She understood. A thought struck her. "Wait here," she said suddenly, standing up. Jonas looked at her in confusion as she hurried off. Minutes later, she returned with 2 cups of hot coffee and a bag of fresh pastries from a nearby cafe. "Here," she said, handing him the coffee. "It's not much, but it's warm." Jonas took it hesitantly, his fingers trembling around the cup. He took a sip and let out a small sigh of relief. "Thank you," he murmured. Alice sat back down. "Listen, Jonas," she said, choosing her words carefully. "I can't promise to fix everything overnight, but I want to help." Jonas looked at her skeptically. "Why would you help me?" "Because I can," she said simply. "And because I should." Over the next few days, Alice made calls, pulled strings, and arranged for Jonas to get a temporary place to stay, one that allowed pets. She also connected him with a job training program that could help him get back on his feet. When she met him again a week later, Jonas looked different. He was still struggling, but there was a spark of hope in his eyes. "I don't know how to thank you," he said. "Just do the same for someone else someday," Alice replied with a smile. As she watched Jonas walk into his new temporary home, Charlie trotting beside him, she felt something shift inside her. Policies and politics mattered, but at the heart of it all were people. Real people like Jonas. And for the first time in a long while, Alice Weidel felt that she had truly made a difference.
Like dieses Video und abonniere den Kanal.